Good morning. Welcome to Substitute Tuesday. I'm Dorothy Lee, Family and Consumer Science Agent, the University of Florida, Escambia County Extension. And today we're going to talk a little bit about an ingredient that actually has almost become a condiment in today's cooking, and that happens to be sour cream. Sour cream is used in so many different ways. It's used in baking, it's used in preparing sauces and gravies. We use it oftentimes in entertaining, preparing certain types of foods like appetizers and hors d'oeuvres and so forth. It's wonderful in dips, and we use it as a basic condiment sometimes to put on vegetables. For example, the baked potato is very popular with additions of sour cream. So what happens if you are baking, or maybe you want to prepare a sauce for your stroganoff, or maybe you're having loaded baked potatoes for dinner and you have the main ingredient missing. You do not have sour cream in your refrigerator. So there are some things that you can substitute for the sour cream in the different cooking techniques. In baking, it's very, very easy to prepare the baking with 1 cup of yogurt. Yogurt is a wonderful, wonderful ingredient to use as a substitute. And just take about a cup of yogurt, which is maybe 3 to 5 ounces, depending, this is a smaller one, plus a teaspoon of baking soda. That's very interesting that we're using baking soda and we're using yogurt in substitute for the sour cream in our baking. So anytime you have a recipe that calls for 1 cup of sour cream and you're out of sour cream, or you discover that your sour cream is out of date and you have to find a substitute, so remember, use the baking soda. And if you have yogurt for usually that you use for your wonderful breakfast, or maybe you're using it for just a dessert or snack, use that, and you can put together the 1 cup of sour cream that's required in your baking. Another thing that oftentimes we like to do, and that is to make sauces or gravies. I always think about the sauce that goes into maybe beef stroganoff. We have a white sauce that we use with usually with beef stroganoff, and so sour cream is one of the main ingredients in preparing that particular dish. So the substitute for that would be a wonderful cup of yogurt. See, our yogurt's very versatile. 1 cup of yogurt and 1 tablespoon of flour. Now the flour can be self-rising or it can be all-purpose. In that instance, it's not important whether it is the self-rising flour. So a cup of yogurt, and then use your flour and mix those together, and you have a sauce. Another thing when preparing gravies and sauces, you might want to use what we call evaporated milk. And evaporated milk is the type of milk where the water has been extracted. So using that along with some of these other ingredients oftentimes gives you a thickening agent for your sauces and for your gravies. I always think about dips. A lot of times the various wonderful favorite dips that I make call for some type of sour cream. Well, sometimes I'm wanting to lower the amount of fat and the amount of calories and so forth in that particular recipe, or maybe I just don't have the sour cream that's necessary for that recipe. So I have a little bit of cottage cheese in my refrigerator. So what I can do is I can take my cottage cheese, 1 cup of cottage cheese, and add a little bit of yogurt to it, about 1/4 of a cup of yogurt to the cup of cottage cheese, put it in my blender, and if I like, I can also add about a teaspoon, maybe a teaspoon or 1/2 teaspoon of lemon juice to my cottage cheese and my yogurt, and blend that well. And that way I can use that also as the basis for my wonderful dip and add some spices along with that, or whatever other ingredients that the recipe calls for. Makes it really great. Another wonderful way of using sour cream is as a condiment. And as you can see, as a baked potato, we always dress up that baked potato with that sour cream, and we usually use cheese and maybe even some wonderful broccoli to get a little bit of those vegetables there in our diet. And oftentimes, maybe you're counting those carbs. You want to cut back on those carbs. You want to cut back on the calories and so forth. So there's a wonderful recipe that many years ago was published in the American Heart Association cookbook, and that was for what we call a mock sour cream. And it's really a wonderful substitute. It's cottage cheese, and since the consistency, the texture of cottage cheese is a little bit different, you want to, for 1 cup, you need to have a cup of cottage cheese, add a little bit of milk, kind of thin it out, because when cottage cheese is blended, it's going to be a little thicker than your normal sour cream. You might want to add some lemon juice, and maybe there are different types of milk. You could use some skim milk, and that would cut back on the calories. So as you can see, there are a lot of different ways that we can prepare our dishes with the sour cream ingredient, and yet even cut back on some of the carbs, some of the calories, but yet still have all the flavor that we have necessary for making it a very tasty dish. For more information, contact the University of Florida Institute of Food and Agricultural Sciences, Escambia County Extension.